Hi, everybody. Welcome to Am I the Asshole? Episode 6. I'm Danny Vega.
I'm Anthony O'Connell. Thank you so much for listening.
It is a pleasure to be here with you once again.
Absolutely. And just to start, please give us a review on iTunes.
Please post that you are listening to us on your Insta story and tag us. Will you please tell the world about us? We need more listeners.
It means everything to us, and we greatly appreciate you, so please do that.
Join us on Facebook. Things are getting wet and wild. And in this episode, we're very excited. Things are back to normal. I'm back from vacay. We've got all kinds of Facebook comments, which we're super excited about because you guys are saying great things.
Absolutely. Very engaging, fun topics, and we love it.
Check out all our links at AITApod.com. On to the meat, as we are known to do, baby.
That's right. We get right into it.
This is an episode about weddings, proposals, things of that nature. So here we go. The second story we are covering today is, would I be the asshole for not going to my own wedding? But first, would I be an asshole if I asked my pregnant wife to move out because she and her best friend tested my loyalty?
Oh boy.
By you/stupidtest_14. My preggo wife has recently started acting like a nut job. She gets angry and irritated over small things, insults me when she doesn't like the food I make, and accuses me of losing attraction for her. For example, she wanted to eat chicken sandwiches for dinner last week, so I made chicken sandwiches. She ate all the sandwiches. And yes, I am looking at you, Anthony, eater of chicken nuggets. She ate all the Sammies, left me nothing, and told me that they tasted like shit. She does this every time. She eats everything I make and calls it shit. I don't argue with her because I work for more than 80 hours a week, and I really want to have some peace when I'm home. Yesterday, a random girl started flirting with me after the gym and asked me if I wanted to meet up with her for drinks. I said no, I'm married. When I got home, my wife hugged me and apologized. She told me that her best friend suggested a test for my loyalty. The random girl was their mutual friend testing me. And I passed. Yay!
Hooray.
I'm really pissed. I'm done with her antics. Would I be the asshole if I asked her to move out? Whew.
Oh, man.
Whoa.
This is a lot. She eats all the sandwiches? She is eating for two, though. You got to keep that in mind, my friend.
All of them, though, Anthony? I mean, how hungry is this baby?
And then it's like, she doesn't act like she hates the sandwiches. She ate them all.
The obvious place this goes is to Prego Crazy, which we all know a little bit about. We've all heard of the food cravings that pregnant women get.
Pickles and peanut butter is an example I've heard.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That's nasty, but I get it. So that's the thing about the pregnancy cravings. They're so opposed to each other that it almost hurts, but it's almost like poetic in a way.
Exactly. And plus, it's like you're literally creating a human, like your body's going to do some weird, wonky things.
Genevieve Rice, who I reached out to because I know she's preggo, she's been posting about it on Facebook. She says, I think this lady is taking things too far. Sure, it's harder being pregnant than not, but it's not that hard. I had a complicated pregnancy and didn't yell at anyone I would have yelled at when I was not pregnant. Anthony, I found myself wondering, how crazy can people get because of pregnancy? And I looked into it. What's the worst thing you've seen a pregnant woman do? This is a thread on Reddit. Cashmere Knitter writes, when I was pregnant, I had another pregnant lady at my OBGYN office slap a cup out of my hand and scream at me that if I was going to drink coffee while I was pregnant, I might as well, quote, shoot up all the drugs. I was drinking hot chocolate.
Wow.
I also love that this was pregnant on pregnant violence. I mean, this is just a lot of craziness in one place.
Absolutely.
Now, my mother, this is actually true, drank Mountain Dew while she was pregnant with me. She did not realize that Mountain Dew doesn't have caffeine. In fact, it has one of the highest caffeine content of any soda. Thanks, Mom. That's why my penis is small. Someone else in the thread said their friend's mom wanted to eat dirt, which I think is the funniest.
Where does that craving come from? Eating dirt?
It's actually a psychological thing. It's a disorder. I mean, we all know about the strangely specific things. You said peanut butter and pickles. I also found cottage cheese and mustard, which again is like, they're so wrong, it's right. You know what I mean? It's brilliant in a way. It's cuisine in a way, the cuisine of the pregnant. So whenever anyone wants to eat non-nutritious things, but it is most common in pregnant women, it's called pica. And this includes things like dirt, ice, paper, and chalk. Ugh, I'm just starving for some ice and paper right now. We got a lot of great comments on our Facebook about this. Carolyn Berger writes, "You're the asshole if your first thought is kicking your pregnant wife out of your home rather than, I don't know, talking to her directly about how these things make you feel or going to therapy or any other adult and non-asshole response."
Agree 100%, Carolyn. Communication skills are definitely lacking here. Just have the tough conversation. You got to let her know, like, babe, I don't like when you eat all my things and tell me they're bad. Just communicate. Even though she's pregnant, you still got to talk.
Absolutely. Lauren B says she's bearing your child. Imagine what her body and emotional well-being are going through. It's temporary. Make twice the amount of food and try new recipes.
Hey, that's a fair argument too. Like,
I don't think it's that fair. The new recipes part, I feel like this guy's a good cook. I feel like his wife's in a bad mood. She's like, nom, 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 terrible. I hate it. Why is she waiting till the end to say it's bad, Anthony?
Because I think she's so hungry. She's starving Marvin, this poor lady, and this man's making garbage food. Step your cook game up.
Ashton Weinberger says, this guy works 80 plus hours a week, cooks dinner, and goes to the gym. I call bullshit.
That's a very good point.
It's true. It's true. I don't buy this guy. He's painting a certain picture.
Like, he's a hero. He's like, look, all I do is I work 2 jobs. I go to the gym. I'm jacked. My wife eats all my food and complains.
My wife. Richie Martin says both of them are assholes, and now we're all assholes for having to live in a world where these 2 assholes have an asshole baby. I've thought about this a lot. You know, I think, look, first of all, being pregnant, obviously, you're literally creating the most complicated thing that can be created. Like a human being, it's more complicated than a Lamborghini.
You're right.
And you're cooking that up inside you. I say you got a right to be crazy. You got a right to be a monster. You got a right to eat all the food, complain about the food, things of this nature. 100%.
So he should take it with a grain of salt, all these complaints.
Absolutely. Take it with a grain of salt and cucumber and cottage cheese. The person I really am coming for with this, I think the husband, look, he was saying, would I be the asshole? He was asking, and he got his answer. Obviously, he would be the asshole if he just upped and left his wife. I think there's no question there. I don't actually think he's a bad guy. I think he's overwhelmed. He kind of wanted some support. That's why he's painting this overly, like, kind of perfect picture, 80 hours a week, etc. I think the person I'm coming for, Anthony, is the friend stoking the flames, sowing seeds of distrust. I don't like her.
I don't like this friend either. She sounds like she's probably very alone, so she's meddling in this person's business. She's like, hey, let's entrap your husband.
Exactly. Doing little tests like these, they're not funny, right? They're not cute. They're unnecessary. They're mean-spirited. And there's no good thing that can come out of this. Like, I truly don't get why would you set a trap like this? I don't get it.
You know, I think it's because when you're insecure and sad like this, you just assume the other person's going to lie, so you don't even bother to ask them.
So you're not trusting them, and you're almost projecting that onto them by running this stupid test.
Exactly. So tests like this are a lose-lose situation. Because your partner either fails the test or they pass and then they're mad at you.
Right, like this guy. Now he doesn't trust his wife because she doesn't trust him. I'd even argue this is a lose-lose-lose because the other situation is you test them, they pass, you never say anything about it, and now you have to know in your head your lack of trust was proven wrong and you're a scumbag.
That's true. What about the case where they fail, but they failed because it's a ridiculous situation?
I think that's a really interesting question, right? And that we were saying entrapment earlier, like, there is a point, and this is in the law, where like if a cop does something, but they kind of push you into it, it doesn't count. So I was thinking, what would mine be? Like if I'm leaving the gym, which is in my building, my girlfriend's out of town, so that means I can just go right up to our apartment, and a girl from my building just throws herself at me in the elevator.
Well, no offense. I don't think that would happen in a million years.
I agree. It wouldn't happen. It is a crazy situation. However, much like this guy's situation, it could be easily orchestrated. And I can see myself in a moment of weakness and testosterone. You know, your blood's pumping. You just worked hard at the gym. I did it. But this is a hypothetical, people. I would go for it, right? Like, I can see that happening.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very reasonable.
Right. Like, we can all have moments of weakness, but I'm thinking put someone in a ridiculous situation, get a ridiculous result. Why would that make me a bad person? And when I map it onto my girlfriend, I'm like, she goes to the gym. I pay some hunky guy to whatever. I don't know why I have to pay him. He's a prostitute in my situation to hit on her and come at her. And he's in great shape and He speaks fluent Spanish, and unlike me, her mom loves him. And would she hook up with that? I don't know that I would hold it that much against her.
Well, I think you're incredibly kind. I think one and done, that's a deal breaker for me. But
if you're saying all situations, if your partner fails one of these tests, you're out.
Yeah, I mean, if they cheat on you, regardless of the circumstance, like even if it's like a celebrity or something, I feel like that's still cheating.
But it's not the same. Do you give me that? Like, say your partner gets blackout drunk and they cheat on you. They have sex with someone else versus they text some guy and they agree to meet up at the Motel 6. The Motel 6? Really? The Motel 6. And then they come and they say, Anthony, I don't know what I was thinking. I hooked up with this guy and I had sent them some text, blah, blah, blah. It's like a whole protracted thing. Aren't those two different to you?
Oh, they're very different, actually.
Okay.
Because I think the second scenario you're describing, your significant other has countless opportunities to back out.
Yes.
She's texting, that's fine, but then she's like, okay, let's meet. That's fine, but she still has a chance to say, I'm not going to cheat.
Right.
But then they go to dinner, they're having fun. She still has a chance to not cheat.
Yes.
Then they go to the Motel 6, the seedy Motel 6. She still has a chance to back out. There's so many opportunities for them to be faithful to you, and then they still don't do it.
The key card doesn't work. It's not well maintained. Why is it red? I thought this was our room. It's a million moments, right? Whereas one is just a moment of weakness. Or in the drunk case, it's like you create a moment of weakness. To me, they're not the same. But you're out, though. If someone does a blackout cheat on you, you're done either way.
I am, yeah, because I have trust issues anyway. So if I let my guard down and I trust you and you cheat on me, regardless of drunk or sober, like I just can't deal with that.
I feel, and I am saying this, I'm reckoning, I've never really been cheated on. I do feel like you get one. I feel like I could forgive something like that. If a freak situation happens, George Clooney on the elevator, Ariana Grande throws herself at me, I think you get one situation like this where your partner should let it go, and these are ridiculous situations. I think there's a big difference between a moment of weakness situation and a protracted cheating thing, which I think you put it perfectly, because that's not a moment of weakness. It's dozens of moments. And when you're constantly overriding like, ooh, this is bad and I shouldn't do this.
Like you never wanted to back out once with all these moments?
Exactly. I feel like you get one situation like this, a blackout night or like a celebrity or an equivalent, you know what I mean? I think you get one. I want to say I could forgive one.
Okay, so celebrity, that's fair, but then how low of a celebrity can you go? Like a B-lister, a C-lister, he went viral once? Like, where does that go?
I hooked up with Guy Fieri. We are over.
Donkey sauce. A lot of people are very attractive and they basically have celebrity privilege where they're so hot that everyone wants them.
They are hit on a lot. So they're under a lot of external pressure, whereas someone like me, women aren't throwing themselves at me left and right, so like it's not that big of a factor for me.
That's very true. It's a lot easier to be loyal when no one's testing you.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Still, I stand by it. I say boo test, put someone in a ridiculous sitch, get ridiculous results. I don't think that's a healthy thing. And we looked it up. I was curious, what is entrapment? What's the definition of entrapment? Which if you're entrapped, that would mean that the criminal case wouldn't really hold water because that's no good. They pushed you into it. They trapped you into it. And entrapment is defined by officers using coercion or force, other overbearing tactics to induce someone to commit a crime. And I say getting a hot woman to throw herself at a schmuck like me, that's entrapment, baby.
Would he be the asshole if he throws his lady out?
100% he would. I think he needs a lot more empathy for the prego wifo. I think she did it crazy, but she was pushed by her friend. Her Machiavellian piece of shit friend. I'm mad at her. I say she's the biggest asshole. This guy would be an asshole, but I don't think he's going to do it. I think he's in a bad mood and he wanted sympathy. I think that's why he made the post on Reddit.
He was probably blowing off a little bit of steam with this post. Like he probably has no intention of getting rid of his wife, kicking her out onto the street. I think definitely not. He would be the asshole if he did it, but I agree with you. Her, the friend, big asshole.
Make an extra sandwich. Don't put her on the streets. Would I be the asshole for not going to my own wedding? By You Throwaway 594. My partner and I decided to have a simple courthouse wedding. Everything seemed in order. My mom was fine at first, but after some time, she told us the wedding officiant wanted to speak with us. The officiant said my mom planned an entire wedding for us and invited both of our close families, around 20 people. It seems she did this mostly for my grandparents. she's also covering all the costs. I feel like I'm being ungrateful and we should just suck it up for family's sake. But at the same time, we feel like we have no control over our own wedding. I feel guilted into this. My partner, on the other hand, is being super supportive. If they wanted it, I'd go through with it. But they're saying it's 100% my decision. Would I be the asshole if I said no, even though she already paid some deposits and invited everyone?
First of all, I think it's really cool that the partner's being supportive. I think that's great. They're like, whatever you want to do, I'm down. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a very reasonable thing to do.
I personally say not the asshole. I think it's your wedding. You do whatever you want.
I see the draw of that. I'm worried it's a bit simplistic. It's not like your marriage is going to exist in isolation, right? You have all these relationships with other people, your parents, their parents, all these people come in. Like, so if your marriage isn't in isolation, why should your wedding be, Anthony?
My problem is I think it does exist in isolation. I would say the majority of your time is going to be spent with you and your partner. Family time's going to be there, but the most part, it's just you.
I just feel like there's a compromise. The Facebook group thinks so. Taylor Lehman writes, definitely the a-hole. It's a free party. Velvet Missione writes, get married on your own and then show up and celebrate with your fam.
Velvet nailed it. It's kind of everyone gets to win.
Right. I think there's a little bit of give here. I think you have to acknowledge it. Even though I wasn't a big fan of the sort of subterfuge the mother used and did this behind their back rather than negotiating it. What about the grandparents, right? Like, it's not like the mother is being strictly selfish herself, right? Like, yes, she wants it, but like she's bringing in all these other people. It's not just about her.
The fact that this person did not mention the history of this kind of behavior, and she even says, I feel like I'm being ungrateful, leads me to believe that she has a good relationship with her family. She's just being a little bit stubborn, maybe.
Bingo. I think you're onto it. Sydney Lehman writes, I understand getting steamrolled by overbearing parents. This same thing happened to my older sister. In the end, she loved the wedding and the reception our parents put together. You might be the a-hole if you don't go, which I think this really supports the idea that when people get married, it's an assertion of independence. And so they are pushing off their parents. They're saying, now I'm starting a new family. That's what I'm doing. And I think so maybe this is a thing that happens because Sydney even says like her mom forced it down her sister's throat. And guess what? She liked it.
Yeah.
You know, like there's something to be said here. Tim Shortman writes, not the asshole, but come on, it's one day. You spent more days in bed puking up. I think that really goes to show like this just isn't that big of a sacrifice for her. She can have her cake and eat it too. And it's wedding cake, so you know it's good people.
But, you know, maybe she's just caught up on the principle of it. Like she decided that she wants to be independent and she's going to do her thing. And like, yes, it is a nice gesture by the mom, but at the same time, she's like, this is what I decided.
Yeah, and I think that should be respected, and I can have some minor qualmage with Momo for going behind her back, but on the other hand, I think Sydney's comment kind of shows like this is a thing. People get hot and bothered. They're like, it's my wedding, Mom. It's mine. And then sometimes you just gotta, look, you know what I'm gonna say. Discretion's a better part of valor. Folks, Mom was discreet. She went behind her back to do something nice and to involve other people. And can I just go back to the grandparents? Because people are backing me up on this. Erica Sparrow writes, your grandparents are still alive? That's sick. This might be one of their final memories, Anthony.
It's true.
Jenny Walkowiak writes, having just visited my dying grandparents in different hospitals. I don't know, that's kind of a weird flex. Like, yeah, they're dying and in different places. You know how much traveling I had to do? I would do anything to make them happy. Maybe some sort of compromise could be made.
Also, it is possible she's not that close with her family or maybe even her grandparents.
Fine, and that's her right. That is her right. If she doesn't want to be a super family girl and be involved with these people that much, but come on, you got everybody clamoring to go to your wedding. You still got your grandparents around. I don't think Mom had malice in her heart, and maybe she is a controlling bee. Maybe she is. I'm going to assume the worst about her and still say like Tim Shortman said, you spent whole days puking into a toilet. You can't spend, 5 hours on this little wedding gig that's going to make all these people happy.
Yeah, but sometimes being petty feels good.
Do you think so?
I think it's a short-term feel-goodedness. Like, it feels good in the moment, and then sometimes you're filled with regret or, you feel like maybe you overdid it. But in the moment, it feels good. Absolutely.
I think it can feel good because you can feel like you're the better person. And we talked about this a while before the show, and Anthony and I came up with this term, principled pettiness. And what this is when someone acts like they're doing the right thing because of a bigger principle, but they're actually being petty.
Exactly.
Right? So in this case, the kind of high concept of this girl's independence. She wants to feel like her own person, which is very resonant. Individualism. This is very American, and it's a young person thing. It's part of being a young person and coming to adulthood versus her folks enjoying the wedding, which is very practical and normal, not very high-minded, not very much of a principle. And I think in this case, this is principled pettiness. It's like, why? It's 5 hours.
Exactly. And it's paid for.
It's paid for.
It's not like the mom stuck her with a bill. The mom's like, hey, I booked this sweet party, BT dubs, 10 grand, or like whatever the price would be.
Right. Right. And her grandparents, come on. And we're talking more about principled pettiness and what that can mean. I think a great example that you've listed before is like, there's people who are against tipping. They're against the practice of tipping. And so then they go out to a restaurant and they don't tip. Well, you're not fighting the system. You're just being an asshole.
Yeah, you're just being cheap. And it's like, this is how we do it here. Just do it.
People were reluctant to call her an asshole for this.
Yeah.
Because we all respect the value of independence. But I think that she would be an asshole given the information she's given me. Like, if she painted a picture of her mother as being toxic, abusive, if this whole family system was bad for her, I could be more understanding. But since she hasn't said nothing like that, I say she absolutely would be the asshole. Her mom paid. It's a big friendly thing. And look, you may want your marriage to exist in isolation or relative isolation. I mean, my parents moved to Arizona from Florida. They got the fuck away from everybody. But you know what? They still had a wedding. They still brought people in.
Would you be willing to say everyone sucks here? Like, would you think it's fair to say that the mom sucks for the way she planned this thing?
No.
Because if the mom really wanted to win, she could have handled it better and maybe got her way.
Maybe, but I think she had to do it this way because she had to force her hand. I think that people are resistant about this, and I think the mom is secretly obeying, right? The mother is basically playing tactics. She's playing great politics. She knows that this girl has a right to her wedding. She knows that. So instead of fighting that, she just made a decision for her, and it's a little coercive and it's a little manipulative. I give her that. But in this case, the good so far outbalances the bad. And like, I don't think it comes from selfish manipulation. And I think that's the key differential here, right?
It should be your own thing and however you want to do it. That's why I'm going to stick with my original point of like, not the asshole, because it's her wedding, and at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want.
Well, no. I mean, you're saying, but if she can have both, if she can go to the wedding, go have her simple courthouse wedding, would she be the asshole for not going to the wedding her mom planned? That's the question.
Get married on your own and then show up and celebrate. I think that's probably the best.
Yes, that is the compromise. And I think the general thing to take away here is when people are overly rigid, they're 0% accommodating. They don't want to bend an inch when it would benefit this person so much. She's put money down, blah, blah, blah. I think that's an asshole move.
Yeah, that's fair.
Unless you got a great reason to not do it, and she does not. It's time for everyone's favorite part of the show, listener submissions.
Yay.
Title, AITA for returning an engagement ring. My boyfriend proposed to me after 5 years together on my birthday. We were in Thailand, and I had wanted to see many sights there. We did touristy stuff all day, just as I wanted, and came back to our hotel. Then he asked me the big question, but it was in the hotel room. I said yes and played it off, but I was secretly very disappointed. We woke up the next morning and I told him the truth. The proposal wasn't what I wanted. I hated that I would have to picture it for the rest of my life in a random hotel room. He took it very personally, which I get. But my answer is still yes. I just want him to re-ask at a different location. AITA.
Hotel rooms are nice. I think that could have been a very like romantic, nice moment. They could have proposed and then had sex instantly. They're in a hotel room. They can do whatever they want. They already had this big, beautiful, romantic day. They did touristy stuff. They went and I'm assuming had great food. Then they're back at the hotel hanging out. You know, could have been fun.
But you don't see her side at all. Like, it's a hotel room. It's generic. There's a painting of like a dog at a park on the wall.
But it's in Thailand. It's not like a sleazy Motel 6 like we talked about earlier. It's a nice hotel in a different country. Like you're on an adventure.
So it's still a hotel. It's not that romantic.
Well, here's the thing is even if he does propose in a second location, she still will always have this memory. So why make him go through all this trouble? The first instinct is like, oh shit, remember when you proposed at a hotel like an idiot? These are her words, I'm guessing. But no, then I made you do it here. It's like,
Well, yeah, she'll have the memory, but she'll have a new memory that's more important of the proposal that she actually accepted and wanted.
I guess I would just be a little I personally could not handle a second proposal because I'd feel like not guilty, but I would feel weird like, oh, they're only doing this because I made them do it. And then I would feel weird like I'm putting them out, like I'm making it difficult for them.
You're saying you wouldn't ask for a reproposal.
Right. I think asking for reproposals is insane.
I think this girl has a legit emotion. I understand where she's coming from. I remember when my girlfriend asked me to be her boyfriend, and I have that memory crystal clear in my head. And I acknowledge that proposals and weddings and things like this, generally speaking, women are very passionate about them. They get very excited. It's kind of their number one thing.
I think one of the comments kind of says it perfectly. Jordan Howard says, "You're the asshole. I can't imagine the bridezilla that will become of this." I think she does sound like a bridezilla. Everything has to be perfect. The proposal has to be perfect. Like, you're in a different country. You're on an adventure. Like, just let him live.
I feel like you're not giving her a single inch. She felt this emotion, Anthony. This is not what she wanted. See, this is where I'm starting to go with this. Feelings are never invalid. Right? She had this feeling. The proposal is very important to her. I think it's easy for you to be like, oh, isn't it technically good enough? Well, yeah, technically. And I think for most people, it would be good enough. And I think that's why she got a lot of flack for this. And people said, you're the asshole. But I think her feeling is valid. And I think the mistake here might have been the communication. Like, she doesn't really go into how she did this. But I think this could have been broached in a way very carefully that would have been much less hurtful. I don't believe that she broached properly.
If she is the kind of person to ask for a second engagement proposal, he has to know that she's that kind of person. Like, if she's that particular, that she's willing to ask. Like,
bro, does he not know her? They're getting fucking married.
And they've been together for 5 years. So she opens with that. So he should know her better. That, like, you would think that not even if they talked about it or not, you'd think that he would know her vibe that she would not like.
Absolutely. And there's no reason to be butthurt about it. I get why he's butthurt. I think the way for her to approach this would be just to come at it from a feelings perspective. Hey, I'm so excited. I literally can't wait to marry you. I feel so bad saying this, but like, I didn't love the setting of a hotel room.
What about his feelings?
I felt disappointed, or maybe she could be more general. I felt disappointed about yesterday.
What about his feelings? Like, wouldn't you feel rejected? Like, say you proposed to Danny and she said propose again. Wouldn't you feel rejection and hurt?
Of course I would. But I have to say that I'm inclined to think there was an ineptitude to this. I would not ask my girlfriend, who is a motherfucker about details. I mean, we are talking about the detail queen. To ask me in a hotel room? What am I, suicidal? Like, I think this guy kind of messed up. He should know this girl.
Yeah, that's fair.
He had other opportunities. They were in Thailand. So why did he opt for the hotel room? He made a mistake. And I'm not saying that her requesting this isn't brutal or asshole-ish. I might even say that everyone sucks here. It is a brutal thing. And returning the engagement ring is brutal, right? Because that's sort of the symbology of it. Like, have this back. If she had just said, like, I just felt like yesterday's setting, it didn't work for me. I love you so much. I can't wait to marry you. And then let him initiate the repropose to make it up to her, that might have been a better situation.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, most people aren't that level-headed, like, especially in the moment. Like, she was probably so disappointed that she couldn't even think clearly, and she probably was a little bit harsh, but I think she definitely could have been like, this is so important to me, it's going to be in my memory forever, it's burned in my memory forever, just please do it again. Can we do a second take, honey? Please.
I think sometimes when you demand a specific course of action from people, that feels ultimatomy, and that turns them off, and they don't like it. So I think coming at it from like, I felt like yesterday wasn't what I always imagined it would be. Like, I felt like the setting didn't show how much I love you and how much you love me, and sticking there and then letting him sort of accepting the idea is a less hurtful way than being like, here's the ring back, you know? Like, that hurts to get the ring back. Oh.
The ring back is pretty brutal. But also, what does she think marriage is going to be like? It's going to be a bunch of perfect moments. Like, marriage is challenging. Like, I think she already failed the first challenge.
I disagree, man. I think these are fucking special things. The proposal is special. The wedding is special. Like, I think for a lot of women, this is this is some of the most important moments in their lives. And it's important for men too. I just think on the man side, like, I don't really give a shit about the wedding. You know, I give a shit about the yes, right? And she is saying yes. And I'm not saying this guy is wrong for having his feelings hurt. I guess he took it very personally. Well, of course he's going to take it personally.
She's saying yes with a qualifier, though. She's like, yes, if you do it in a better location. Like, isn't he enough? Isn't his love enough? This ring enough? He's giving a vow to her. Does the hotel really make that much of a difference?
I think it does. I think he should have known better. That's kind of where I'm at with this. And people are disagreeing with us in the Facebook group. Erica Spira says, my dad proposed at a Dairy Queen and is still married 34 years later, which I don't understand. Why is she acting like that shitty? A Dairy Queen? That beats the hell out of a hotel room. That's why she said yes. She's like, oh, how could I say no? He held the ice cream upside down and said, will you marry me? I was like, I'm all in, sweetheart.
Exactly, man. Hot eats, cool treats. Hell yeah, I'll spend the rest of my life with you.
Yeah, and if she says no, like, he's at a place where he can easily eat his feelings. I mean, I think DQ is the number one place.
Absolutely. It's very romantic. And he's like, you know what? If she says no, he's like, you know what? Make that Blizzard a large, a banana split to go.
Can I get a job? But there's everything you could ever need at DQ. By the way, this episode sponsored by Cold Stone, the better DQ. Crystal Frost writes, my husband also proposed in a hotel room. He's shy and doesn't like being the center of attention. The proposal isn't just about you. It's about him too. Fair enough, Crystal. But like, obviously that flew with Crystal, right? This didn't fly with our submitter. Kylie Perotti writes, sounds like she wanted to have Instagram-friendly photos, and the hotel room didn't live up to that. Look, I think it's stupid to marry someone who really likes Instagram. I think you're in for a bad time. But if this guy is doing it, he needs to live up to it.
What's the point of being married if I can't get 500 likes on the gram? Like,
right.
Content is king above all else.
I'm so happy I'm not marrying you, food blogger boy.
Follow Upper Feast. One pitch per one per you get
one
it.
Plug per show.
There you go.
So we got wondering, what do people actually think about the specifics of the proposal? We asked the FB group, married engaged folks, did you discuss your proposal expectations prior to? Is that even a thing? 37% said no, but it's a thing. 31, no, that's weird. 25%, yes, but only regarding the ring. 6%, I didn't know when, but they knew what kind of proposal I wanted. And exactly 0 people said yes in detail.
Definitely have to talk about the ring, because that's something the person's going to wear literally every single day. You don't want some ugly, stupid ring or something too gauche or whatever. The ring is definitely worth talking about, but the engagement, I guess, is important too.
Obviously, we are seeing that there's a balance of surprise versus specificity that matters here. You want the romance, you want the surprise.
Well, I mean, like Ariel wrote, if you're marrying someone, you should have a good idea of what they would like. I think that's a fact. I think if you're dating someone, you know very well what they like.
Right. I mean, it is a pretty fine-grained detail, though, because, like, they were in fucking Thailand. It was a nice vacation. And then it was the actual location of the ask that ended up doing it in. I mean, isn't the overall trip part of the freaking proposal?
So I don't know anything about Thailand, so I'll just put it in New York standards. Say someone from the Midwest comes to New York on a vacation, and they have this beautiful day. They go to Central Park, they go to the Brooklyn Bridge, and then they go to Times Square. Would you rather be proposed to in Times Square versus the hotel? Like, I'm sure there's a Thailand Times Square equivalent or something very touristy. Like, I think
it's actually called Times Square. It's just spelled THII. Square.
I think that would be a nightmare to get proposed to in a big, like, touristy spot.
Yeah, but what about when he was at the Brooklyn Bridge? It's a little quieter. Central Park, Sheep's Meadow, a nice plain where it's quiet. I mean, there's other chances. Joni Martinez says she was watching TV in bed when she was proposed to.
Now, that's a little too casual even for me.
I mean, I like it. I'm kind of jealous of her husband that she's that mad chill. It just feels like that could go, hey, honey, are you done with the bathroom? Okay, will you marry me? Oh, you're not done yet? Oh, you got diarrhea. Okay. Well, let me know when you're done.
I also got diarrhea.
Yeah, don't flush. I want to put my diarrhea on your diarrhea because it'll show like how much I love you.
Oh, my stars.
I'm still leaning that this girl's not the asshole, and I've got pretty good evidence that suggests this is a thing that happens. 2 people in our Facebook group said they were fellow reproposers. Now, needless to say, they are both stand-up comedians. Matt Levy writes, fellow reproposer here, you are not the asshole. You deserve something special. If you don't think the hotel room is that place, let it be known. Better than bottling it in for years. Anthony, that's a pretty good point.
I agree. He's saying to communicate better. I think that's a big big thing to do. You got to communicate.
And look, feelings can never be invalid. She had to say something. I maintain that her biggest mistake here was demanding a specific course of action, handing the ring back. She should have said her feelings and let him make the move.
I guess, but I mean, I don't know that he would make the move. Like that's hope. That's a lot of hope.
No, he's not an idiot. Boris Kiken writes, as someone who reproposed because my fiance wasn't as into me proposing at Costco as I'd imagine, I actually have to disagree with everyone here. Who cares? If you're going to spend the rest of your life with her, just repropose. Why would it be any issue? I side with the bride. We were so gripped by Boris's comment, we had to hear the whole story. I mean, who is stupid enough to ask someone to marry them in a Costco? So we gave him a call and asked what happened.
I love Costco. We both enjoy going to Costco. It was our first joint membership and a thing together. We got our first joint credit card at Costco. So I told a few friends. They all had trepidations about it. But one of my buddies, who you guys know, Justin Perez, I had him because I knew he had a Costco membership, so I had him film it on his phone. Otherwise, I didn't really tell anybody because I knew she didn't want it in front of friends and stuff. And I did it in the egg section, so she was kind of cold when it happened. I got down on one knee, and the box was still wrapped in paper because it was a wooden box. I didn't want it to get messed up. So she said at first she thought I was joking, and then I took it out and she saw I wasn't joking. And she said yes. I could just tell she was a little bit processing everything going on still. And also we had to finish our grocery shopping afterwards. So there's that that we have to keep doing. As we're getting towards the checkout line, she's I'm not sure how I feel about telling my mom or my coworkers that I got engaged at Costco. And I was well, do you want me to do it over? And she was you know what? I thought about it. I think I do want you to do it over. I'm all right, well, give me the ring. So she gave me the ring. And then, we're driving home from Costco and I'm all right, let's go to a restaurant or something. We went, we got a drink. I got down on one knee. Nobody there noticed or gave a shit. We got a champagne from the bartender. At that point, then I proposed, and I actually got what should be the emotional response you're looking for when you propose, which is she said yes and as well, but clearly was now actually processing the idea of someone asking her to marry her. I wouldn't want her pretending that she was stoked about it if she wasn't stoked about it. And in the end, it feels silly to quabble over it because it's you want your engagement to feel special, but the important thing isn't the engagement. It's the fact that you're going to spend your life together, It
sounds like you actually said to your fiance that you wanted to repropose. She just kind of expressed some discontent with it. Is that true?
I mean, she expressed discontent, but that's what I was kind of reading. I was well, look, if you're unhappy about it and the issue is that you don't want to say that you got proposed to at Costco, there's an easy way to solve that issue, which is that I proposed to you again. What's funny is in the long run, everyone she was looking where that immediate concern was, what am I going to tell my coworkers? What am I going to tell my mom? They all eventually heard the full story anyway.
All right. Well, is there anything you want to add, Boris, about this matter in general?
Communication is the clear thing. If both of those people are being honest with each other, then they'll work through it.
Okay. Final question. Can we attend your wedding at BJ's Wholesale?
You think I'd have my wedding at a competitor? Actually, are they a competitor? They are, right? I think BJ's is owned by Walmart.
No, that's Sam's Club. You don't know shit about wholesale, baby.
I just focused to my one and dear Costco,
Well, at least you're monogamous with your wholesalers. Thanks a lot, Boris.
Nice. What a button.
Title, AITA for hiding from my wife on social media. I don't let my wife or any of her friends follow me on social media. I don't want bullshit complaints about me liking a girl's pic or interacting with my friends.
Wow. Well, it is a lot of drama. Social media does cause a lot of problems that might be unnecessary problems. And I've definitely found myself in relationships where I'll obsessively check to see what they're liking, and that's not good.
I don't really think that that's healthy on your behalf that you're doing that, but I'm not really a big fan of this kind of deception and strangeness. I guess he doesn't really say. He says, I don't let my wife. So I guess his wife knows that he doesn't let her.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure his Instagram is probably private, and when she clicked follow and he didn't accept it, I'm sure she noticed.
I just think this is really weird. Like, why your wife, the person you're closest with? Like, it just feels very off to me. And Lisa Porter in the comments agrees. She says, bro, you're a piece of shit. Ryan Ferguson doubling down. You're the asshole. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to hide.
I think that's true. I think at the very least, he could communicate with her. Like, if she's the kind of person that gets so violently upset that he clicked like on a girl's selfie, then they have bigger issues than just social media. Would you agree with that?
Yes, there's definitely issues here. I find this very strange, and yet Jamie Valentine on our Facebook defending him, saying, not the asshole. We all know what bullshit complaints are, and we know how meddling and problematic a woman's friend set can be, especially when social media is involved. You're not an asshole for wanting to interact with your friends free of judgment, especially when you aren't doing anything suspect or out of character. But this is suspect. This is bizarre, Jamie.
Yes, it is. And also, men's friends can be shitty too. Like, oh, dude, bro, fuck that chick. Who cares about your wife? Like, anybody, any group, regardless of gender, can be problematic.
Yes, I don't really like how meddling and problematic a woman's friend set can be. That's a little weird, Jamie. I'm not comfortable with that at all. That said, does Jamie maybe have a point? Because earlier in the episode, we talked about the friend who put her prego girl's husband
tested him.
So maybe there is something to be said here, but this just seems like a classic conversation. Just have a fucking convo. Maria Wojciechowski replies to Jamie, sounds to me like he has to be liking something suspect. In this guy's defense, maybe he's liking pictures of hotties on Instagram, which I think, who gives a shit?
It's not like he's like DMing this person and shooting a shot.
Right. I mean, is it almost like a pornographic thing? And not in the sense of it being that dirty, but in the sense of like, clearly, like, you're never going to hook up with that girl. You just like her pictures, or I think it's very odd. So let's just suppose his wife is a bit of a kook and her friends are a bit kooky, and, you know, he's going to like some girl's post who he doesn't know and wouldn't hook up with, just to play his side as much as possible. Maybe he is kind of evading a shitstorm. I mean, would he really be such an asshole if his wife's a bit jealous like that?
If I was dating someone, they would not let me be on their Instagram or their Facebook, whatever. I would not allow that. I would not put up with that. That'd be a deal breaker for me.
I mean, yeah, I guess the only thing that I can assume where he would be okay is like his wife is kind of an out of control person, and this is just his way of keeping her from going out of control. But I'm going to assume that his wife is a normal person, and that makes him an asshole.
Yes, this seems like gaslighting almost, where he's like, babe, it's just social media. Who cares? Why do you need to be on it? Well, if no one cares, then let her be on it.
Right. So what? I liked 50 of my ex-girlfriend's posts in a row. Like, that's why you meddling. Your friends suck. Asshole.
Yes, asshole, definitely.
Title: Nightmare Wedding Planner. With my wedding planner, I paid her half up front, then literally planned the entire wedding. Legit made all phone calls, did all research and bookings, etc., to the point that my mom asked several times, haven't you hired a planner? Well, I'm an excellent planner, however, and just kept thinking her most significant role would be the day of coordinations. Day of, she disappeared. She didn't help at all. Everyone was at the chapel, and I was loading into the limo for the short drive over to the vineyard, and someone was like, hey, where's the flowers? I didn't have my bouquet, the boutonnieres, or anything, and the planner was nowhere to be found. Then guess what? All the effing flowers were locked in the effing main building that had closed for the evening. I'm finding this all out literally minutes before I'm supposed to walk down the aisle. My wedding planner was mostly absent and didn't do shit the rest of the evening either. So when it came time to make the other half of her payment, because I paid her half of it in a security deposit, I ghosted her. She texted me a couple times, literally twice, then gave up. I think she knew she didn't deserve payment, but am I the asshole?
The bride should only be focused on walking down the aisle. Like, I feel very sorry for this person that she had to deal with all this madness.
Yeah, I feel sorry for her too, but one commenter did not. Classic James Breen getting in my ear again. YTA for ghosting her. A contract is sacred. An absence of a written contract detailing exactly what takes place in the event. One party breaches the contract. You at minimum need to discuss the failure of service and stake your claim for reduced fares. Actually, Jimmy, because that's how I know you, James Breen. Enough. Quit hiding behind James. And thank you for not sending me any more paintball videos, Jimmy. Jesus. Quit watching paintball videos. We did some research here on contracts and things of this nature. So I mean, Jimmy's at some point he is right here. Maybe he could have discussed. Maybe the bride could have discussed with the wedding planner and been a bit more diplomatic. However, there was no contract. It was a casual contract. It's this woman saying she's a wedding planner, and the bride saying, "I'm going to pay you for the wedding planning." Nothing's written down. Nothing's specified. But that doesn't mean that her expectations are out of whack. I mean, call me an old kook here, but a wedding planner's supposed to plan people.
Yeah, they're not a wedding guest. They don't just show up the day of and do nothing.
Exactly. We looked it up. According to weddingwire.com, some things a wedding planner would do are write invitations, plan the guest experience, get photographers, make sure no moment gets missed, coordinate the grand exit. So the question here really, was there ever a valid contract, right? Because I don't think the wedding planner's argument would be like, well, the deal was you pay me and then I do what we agreed that I would do and I did nothing. Well, that's not a valid contract. That's called a gift. When you give someone money and they do nothing, that is called a gift. It's not a valid contract. There were no services. Just showing up was not the service. It was arguably irrelevant. Now, most wedding planners do go, of course, to the wedding to make sure that all the details get executed, but I can imagine a wedding planner who does a wicked job planning and then actually doesn't have to be at the wedding. I mean, that's not the most important part of the gig.
Right.
Most people agree. Genevieve Rice writing, not the asshole. She didn't do her job and half the deposit was more than enough. Rico Pagaluca writes, not the asshole, but kind of a saint for not pursuing a refund on that worthless deposit.
Agreed.
I think
Definitely. I mean, it was a worthless deposit because literally nothing happened. Nothing was done. He's right. She should have.
Absolutely.
She should have got a refund.
This is a pretty open and shut case. I don't think anyone would defend this wedding planner, but it made me think, in general, if someone agrees to do something for you for money and they don't do it, you're not an asshole for not paying them. You're not an asshole for demanding a service that you paid for. And I think a lot of younger people get stuck up with being a little bit assertive about this. And we do have a lot of memes about this. It's the white woman asking for the manager. But look, sometimes that lady is right. And sometimes you have to kind of get in people's face to get what you paid for. And you should be demanding about it, especially if it's expensive.
Absolutely, 100%. One time I was in Brooklyn and I got in a taxi. I was going to go to a different part of Brooklyn and the driver starts driving. He doesn't know where to go. And he's like, hey, could you Google how to get there?
Yes.
And I'm like, just stop. And he's like, what? And so I get out and he's like, well, we went 2 blocks. You owe me for the 2 blocks. And I'm like, no, if you call your boss and tell him you don't know how to do your job, then I'll pay you for the 2 blocks.
Right.
So needless to say, he looked shocked and surprised. I got out. I did not pay.
Absolutely. It is implicit in the service of a taxi that you know how to get to where the person will go. And if you don't, it's not on them to pay you. And it's absolutely their right to leave. I'm not going to play navigator.
Exactly. That's ridiculous. That's not what I have a taxi service for.
I actually have an I'm the asshole about this. I ordered an expensive dessert for my girlfriend at a restaurant. It was her birthday. And the kind of gimmick of the dessert was they didn't tell you what it was, but it was like $25 and you get the dessert and you get a signed picture from the chef and all this other extra bullshit. So when the dessert comes out, it was a pineapple. And I said, well, that's not a dessert. That's a fruit. Was
it like a candied pineapple?
No.
It was a literal pineapple.
Yes, it was a literal cut up pineapple. And I was like, I'm sorry, but that's not a dessert. This isn't a cultural argument. This is just a fruit. A dessert is something that's been prepared.
What was the presentation like? Was it chopped up and put back in the pineapple?
It was beautiful. Yes, it was a beautiful presentation. And anyway, the reason I was definitely an asshole is because my girlfriend just wanted to go. She didn't want me to make a whole situation about this. And I did make a situation, and that was selfish of me. I should have just paid for the fucking pineapple.
Would you say principled pettiness kicked in? Because you're like, it's the principle. It's 25 for dessert,
yes,
not 25 for fruit.
I'd say the pettiness was to her, right? Because the greater move there would have been it's her birthday, let her have a good time. And instead, I wanted to have a court case with the restaurant, and I lost the court case. I argued with them for a long time, and I said, listen, you have a dessert menu. These are what desserts are. By the way, fruit was not on their dessert menu. It was cakes, things of that.
That strengthens your case.
Of course it does. Of course it does. And they were clearly wrong. I'm sorry, but you can't just chop up a fruit and call it dessert. Nobody does that. No dipping sauce, no nothing.
That's madness.
It's madness. It was cheap. It was cheap. It felt like they had tried to beat the system. So anyway, I was an asshole in that situation, but I maintain there's nothing wrong with getting the manager and demanding what you paid for.
Absolutely.
Title, Parents-in-Law. My fiance's parents are nice, but really annoying. They talk and don't really listen. They just kind of wait till it's their turn to talk and then talk at you. Saturday night at dinner, I had one too many cocktails and they were telling some boring story and I blatantly stopped paying attention. They asked me where I was. I said, your stories are boring. I was daydreaming. Am I the asshole?
I guess the only thing that it puts it into asshole territory is he says, I told them their stories are boring. Like, he says they're nice people, but then he told them they're boring. If they're nice, let them rock. Let them be nice.
Yeah, I don't understand why he had to say their stories are boring. He should have just said, oh, I was daydreaming. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't feel like this made sense as an action. He was expressing underlying frustration, which is valid because it's annoying to go out with these people. And I've dealt with this. I have friends like this. It's very hard to be friends with people who talk at you a lot and they don't connect and they don't listen that well. It's fucking frustrating.
Exactly. Another fun little thought is, were they paying for this dinner? They probably were. So it's like, these people are paying for your dinner. They're your fiance's parents. The least you could do is listen to their boring stories.
You're right. And maybe that is kind of what they pay for. When they're parents, they get to have a little show for you and you have to laugh at all their shitty jokes and pretend like their stories are interesting. I do think this person is an asshole. I don't think this is a proper way to broach this. I don't know that there's an easy way. I think this is one of those things where, like, people, it comes with the role. What? You think you and your parents-in-law are going to be best friends? Keep dreaming.
Right. That'd be a miracle.
That'd be a miracle. You know, like, that doesn't really happen. And if it does, you're very fortunate. But, like, in general, you have to suck their dicks. And that's just what it is.
Exactly. Like, I was once dating a girl in Ohio, and her mom was the epitome of this. Like, she literally never listened to anything, and she just wanted to be involved. Like, one time we were all talking, my girlfriend at the time, her parents, me and her, and we were all talking, and then the mom just randomly says, do you guys like my shoes?
Oh, God.
I don't remember what we were talking about, but it was something a little more important than shoes.
Right. Like, that's just like, you're not paying attention, and now you want attention for your random thing that you bought.
For the record, I did not like the shoes. They were very ugly Uggs with, like, the fur on the outside, and they were bad shoes.
They were Uggos.
Boom roasted.
This person is not being effective. That said, like I said, I think it just comes with the role. Let's be realistic here. Here's the other part of this, too, is this does collateral damage. He didn't just drop a bomb on one of the parents' faces. And then his SO has to be involved, and then they have to be like, what's Michael's problem? He was a bit of an asshole at dinner, and then they have to argue, and then...
And they're probably speculating, like, does he have an alcohol problem? Is that why he did it? Is he a drunk? Is he mean to you? Does he talk to you like this?
Exactly. I think this is way out of line. You've got to respect your SO's family, and that's just the name of the game. They're not going to like you or be interested in your stories. They're adults. They've lived longer than you. They think they're more interesting. They're buying you dinner, so you got to pretend to laugh at their jokes.
If you were in his shoes, you were listening to some boring story, how would you have said anything, or would you just that's a tough pill to swallow, but you just swallow it and deal with it?
I swallow and deal with it, bro. I mean, look, my girlfriend's parents, let's just say that they're not 100% on board as a team, and I put on a show for them. I listen. I try to ask them questions. I really try my best. And I think my effort has waned because I've really tried for a very long time. And when I'm not making progress, I'm like, well, why even try? If I'm not moving an inch forward, then why am I going to put out this much effort? But I still brandish the smile and I speak when I'm spoken to. And I don't try to win the conversation either, because I think part of it is like they're with their daughter, and they don't see her that often. So they want to be with her. Like, why? I'm just there as an auxiliary character. That is part of the role. I am not the superhero. I'm not the sidekick, right? Like, I'm just one of the side characters. I'm the guy selling newspapers. I recognize that, look, it's their interaction. They're buying. And I think that is a factor. They are buying. It would be a little bit different if, after not really being conversationally inclusive of me or treating me like an equal, that they then expected equal payment. Because then I would start to be like, you know what, frankly, I don't want to go out to dinner with your parents, right? But they're buying. It's their meal. It's their time. I say, absolutely, I'll try my best. I'll put on the show. And yeah, my girlfriend's going to have to slap my cell phone out of my hands because I want to check my shit. But that's where I'm at. You got to accept your role.
I think he's only the asshole because of the way he handled it. I think he could have realistically, especially in his little drunk state, been like, hey, I think you guys lack communication skills, or like, you could improve your conversation skills, or like, you need to learn how to listen. Like, he could have said it in a better way.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't think those were better. I mean, they were slightly
better. It's better than saying you're boring.
He should have said, hey, I love going out with you guys, but sometimes I don't really feel like you guys are interested in anything I say. And that would set them up to be like, oh, you want to set people up for success. I think that's a message of this episode is when you tell people what to do, that seldom plays well. You want to give them your feelings and give them a runway so that they can do the right thing. Like if he had just said to them, I feel like whenever I say things, you guys don't really look at me, you get your phones out or whatever it may be. And that would let them have an opportunity to say like, oh, okay, go ahead. Tell us a story. Tell us one of your stories,
Yeah. Attacking them, saying they're boring, I think that's not a good way to get what you want. I think you got to, like what you said, tell them your feelings and all that. So, yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
Ineffective and rude. What could be no more clearly the adjectives of an asshole?
Right.
Guys, this has been episode 6. Thanks so much. I still have energy if you want to do a little bit of banter at the end.
Sure, let's banter it up. I mean, first of all, thank you so much for listening. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Oh, no, we're not supposed to say 5 stars.
Yes, leave us a rating, wink, wink, nudge, nudge on iTunes, and check out all our links. I guess
Tell a friend.
Post this on your Insta story. We'd really appreciate it. I guess the one thing I want to tell you about is I went on this vacation. A lot of tipping situations. Lots. And you know what, Anthony? I really enjoyed it because I had tipping on my mind. So, for instance, we stayed at this hotel. And there was a shuttle that would take you to town. And I would tip $2 or $3 anytime we used a shuttle. It was literally like a 5-minute ride, if that,
I feel like that's better than what you do with taxi drivers here in the city.
Well, now I do tip 10% on the Uber. And they loved me. They said, thank you so much, sir. And I would tip anytime we got room service or like not even room service, but like getting towels for the room and stuff like that. And people loved me. And I felt like, I can afford it. I can give a couple buckos. And I think people really enjoy it. And I think that's another way of looking at tipping is like, hey, you can afford it. And it feels good to be giving.
Exactly. And a lot of times, like, say you give someone $5, like, it might not be a lot to you, but it might be the world to them.
Absolutely. And if everyone gave them $5, wow, they'd do a lot better, And I think that's part of, like, when people get too into, like, capitalism and their jobs and stuff like that, it's like, well, look, not everyone who has a shitty job is a shitty, incompetent person. So why not, take a little bit off your back? That $5 doesn't mean shit to you.
Yeah, throw them the $5. Why not?
Throw them a $5. That should be our new slogan.
Not tip related, but I had a date with a very pretty girl. I showed you her on the gram.
Oh boy, weird story setup, but okay.
I don't know how to segue into this.
Well, you're attracted to her. You're interested in her. That's what's important.
Here's tips.
She's fucking hot. Danny, she's hot.
Brag alert, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, I went on a date with this girl that I told you about.
That's great.
Here's the thing. She claims that she's a social media influencer, but
oh boy,
she only has 1,000 followers and her account's private.
What?
So I'm like, what's really going on here? Like, does she have like rich parents? Does she have like a sugar daddy? Because she has like all designer everything. Like she had like a designer bag. She had like a fancy jewelry. Like everything was very fancy and everything. And we were talking, and I was like, so how do you have all this cool stuff? And she's like, well, I'm an influencer. And I'm like, you have 1,000 followers. And your account's private.
So you're not attracted to her, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, the day wasn't... I mean, we made out a little bit.
Ooh.
And that was cool.
Spicy makeout.
But I don't think anything could happen, like, super romantically. I would like to have sex with her. I'm the asshole.
Jesus, man, you're digging your own grave here.
How? By saying I want to have sex with an attractive,
I don't know. It just seemed a little weird. It just doesn't say, I'd like to have sex with her, too. It's not relevant to the story. Are you going to lead her on?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't even think she would want to date me anyway. This is all just speculative. I'm not rich enough.
Okay. Listen, I think this girl sounds out of control. It sounds like she's misrepresenting herself. That's not very attractive. When people put on airs, that's not hot. I will say this. Usually when people are doing that, it's because they sort of think that you're above them. And they're kind of projecting these things. And that generally means that they may be down to fuck you. That's pretty unattractive for any kind of a dating situation. And I'm not going to lie to you. When you told me you were dating this girl, I thought this could be great because maybe me and my girlfriend can go on a double date with you and your girlfriend and we can talk about food. And that would be a lot of fun. Well, I don't want to go on a double date with this girl, Anthony. Cut her out of your life.
Look, I'll bring a Tinder date to a double date. If you want to hang out.
Oh, I don't want that. That's shit. That sucks. Fuck you. You are the asshole. All right, guys. That's been episode 6. We'll see you next time.